Press play on this. All right. I'm the interviewer. My name is James Caprio, and I'm interviewing today. If you can state your name.
Michael Waugh.
And this is for the oral history project about the rubber workers in Akron. And we'll start by, what city were you born in?
I was born in Barberton, Ohio.
Barberton, Ohio.
1951. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up in Barberton in that time?
Actually, it was nice growing up in that. I actually lived in Norton, even though I was born in Barberton, but Barberton, Norton's kind of like one big area. But it was very nice. Most of the people that I knew, all of my friends, a lot of their parents, grandparents worked for the rubber companies, and of course back then, Barberton was full of industry. There was a ton of industry in Barberton. So everyone was middle class, happy, little houses with picket fences, and it was a nice place to grow up, really. Crime was low. When I was a kid, we used to walk the streets, way after dark. We would walk to the movies and walk home, and nobody thought anything of it. It was, I hitchhiked to Little League practice when I was 11 years old because my mom and dad both worked, So I guess I'm saying it was safe.
Yeah. It
was this nice, safe place to grow up.
What do you remember about the rubber companies growing up?
When I was growing up, not too much because, believe it or not, other than I knew that a lot of my friends' parents worked for them, Firestone, Goodyear, Goodrich, General, and their grandparents, because it was a different time. We just kind of stayed in Barberton, Norton. We went to Akron at Christmas time to see the windows, and that was it, really. We really didn't go to Akron too much.
Okay.
Till when I first started working at Goodyear was really my first real exposure to the city.
Okay. What year did you start working at Goodyear?
1970. Yeah, right out of high school. Graduated in May of 1970. Started working at Goodyear in June. Yeah. So didn't take long.
Did you know that that's what you wanted to do?
I did. I took a. I don't want to bore you here, but I actually was very intent on going to college. I had an older brother that was at Ohio State, and I used to go down there all the time and see him, and I loved it down there. And that was my plan, was to graduate and go to Ohio State. And of course, I always took the college preparatory courses, and I did okay. I did pretty well in school. So that was my plan right up to my senior year. And I had some time that I needed to put into something, and I didn't want to sit in the study hall, so I thought, well, hey, you know what, there's a senior drawing class. I've always kind of liked to do that, so just for kicks, I took it. And as a result of that, our drawing instructor agreed to let Goodyear come in and recruit. So they came in and spent a whole class period speaking to us about their apprenticeship program and the opportunities that it afforded young people, and I was really impressed by it, and it just like all of a sudden, bang, maybe I don't want to go to college, maybe this would be a better fit for me. So I got to checking into it, and I liked what I heard, So the money was great. The education was still there, even though it wasn't a college education. It was a 4-year education, and with a pedigree. We didn't get a college degree, but we got state journeyman cards and papers, and it was really a good fit for me. And of course, I had a girlfriend, and I really didn't want to leave her anyway, and so all of that kind of factored in, But that's how I got involved with Goodyear. They actually came into my high school and recruited guys to be interested in their apprenticeship program.
Did the other companies do that, or was it just Goodyear?
The only one I remember doing it was Goodyear.
Okay.
Now the other companies, I don't think Goodrich did and General didn't, but Firestone had a very, very similar apprenticeship program, and I did find out about that apprenticeship program from my senior drawing instructor. And I ended up taking their test as well. So, and a couple other tests too that he had informed us all about. But by hands down, I liked the opportunities at Goodyear a lot better.
Yeah.
So
So when you first got into it, what are your first kind of remembrances about Goodyear when you first started there in '70?
Okay, I can remember my first day. Now you have to understand, I was 18 years old, right out, a month out of high school. Hadn't left Norton or Barberton much, And my first impressions were, my first day I thought, oh, what have I done? It was dirty and it was hot. And everybody that I was involved with was 20 years older than me, and there weren't a lot of young people like me working there. Most of them had older, had 30s, 40s, 50s, some older than that. So I kind of felt out of place, to be honest with you. I felt it was overwhelming. I thought, oh, what have I done? My buddies are going off to college, and here I am in this hot, dirty place. But that feeling didn't last long. It really didn't. It was about a month later. I thought, yeah, I did the right thing. This is what I was meant to do. So, it worked out pretty good. But I was scared. It was scary. It really was. I mean, it's hard to describe. It was big and dirty and noisy, and you could get lost in the blink of an eye. You went from building to building, and the floors would change. You would leave one building, go across the bridge, and all of a sudden you had left the third floor, and when you got across the bridge, you're on the fourth floor. And it was like a maze in there, And I can remember my first week or two that the older guys that I worked with would send me off on little excursions to get me lost on purpose, And then they would laugh when 4 hours later I would finally find them, and it was a big funny thing, But everybody went through that type of thing. But overwhelming, huge, just huge. And I had no idea. I thought of Goodyear as tires, and I quickly learned that it was way more than tires. I mean, they had. They made hoses, they made belts, they made gas tanks for the military, or airplane gas tanks for the military. They made conveyor belting, fire hose, just a number of different products. I had no idea. They even made rubber bands. They had a rubber band room. So it was interesting, and like I said, overwhelming actually. Yeah. Is that dog okay?
Oh, no, it's
okay. I want her on the tape, but I could take her upstairs if she's not.
The workers, now you mentioned you had a lot of them that were, 20, 30 years older than you.
Lots of them.
How would you describe the mix of work? What type? Was it just, was a lot of white males? Was there a mix?
Oh, in the area I was in, all white males. No women, all white males. All probably from a similar environment that I came from. At that particular time, and I started in 1970, and in 1969, Goodyear had never had, this is kind of shameful really when I think about it, they had never had a black craftsman, a black electrician, a black pipe fitter, a black sheet metal worker. None. Ever in the history of the company. And in 1969, they took a class of black apprentices. The whole class was entirely black, as an equal opportunity type of thing. I think probably instigated by the government. Goodyear had federal contracts, so the government kind of stepped in and said, if you're going to have federal contracts, you're going to be an equal opportunity employer, which was great. I mean, so that was very odd, and of course a lot of the older guys they didn't accept them real well. Most of us younger, the younger guys, I didn't have any problem with it at all. They were just young guys like me, and it didn't matter. But a lot of the older guys were really reluctant. Some of them actually refused to work with the black guys.
Jeez.
They would go to the direct supervision and tell him, hey, I don't want to work with him. You put him with somebody else, But interesting, and that's another thing, James. Coming out of all-white Norton High School, I had a graduating class of 265 kids. I think we had one black person. Norton High School was all white, I hadn't been exposed to that. Never gave any thought to that. Didn't realize that in 1970 people were still being discriminated against. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so that was shocking to me too, you know. Grew up real quick, real quick, you know. I went from a nice protected environment where everybody had a white picket fence and everybody's mom and dad had a job and everybody ate well and had cars and went on vacation in the summertime to experiencing some things that I had never been a part of, you know. So it was different for me. Very different. Yeah. And women, no, none. Now, later on, the apprentice program ended in 1974. I think it was 74. Pretty much, let's say for all practical purposes, it ended about 1974. And the last couple of apprentice classes they actually took young ladies. They had a girl that was a motor winder. They took a girl that was a powerhouse engineer, and they had a girl that was a pipe fitter, and a girl that was a sheet metal worker. So that was really a step too, you know. And again, I think because the government had told them you hold federal contracts, you're going to be an equal opportunity employer. So, but you know, we thought it was great. You know, we most of the young people did, you know, and again, not so well accepted by the older guys. You know, they didn't change easily. So
when you first started, you were in the apprenticeship program. What kind of work were you doing when you first got in there?
Oh, well, when I went in that apprenticeship program, the opportunities were for electricians, pipe fitters, sheet metal workers, and powerhouse engineers and mechanics. And my chosen field was electrical. And thankfully, they accepted me into my chosen field, so that's what I got to do. I went into electrical work immediately. Mm-hmm. You know, the apprenticeship program, they don't have them anymore, so most people aren't familiar with them. But you had a classroom obligation. You had 8 hours a week of classroom training, and then you had minimum 40 hours a week of shop, you know, where you were actually being tutored, being taught by other craftsmen in the shop. Most of the time, way more than 40. You know, 40 hours was a dream. It just didn't happen. We worked 48 or more. Yeah. Cat, get away. Just push her down, James. It's like a zoo around here. But yeah, so I started right into electrical work, you know. It was, and again, green as green could be. I knew nothing. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know? That was shocking too. You know, when I went in there, I thought, how many electricians can they have? 10? 12? No, 200. They had 200 electricians. So that was an eye opener as well. I thought, what do these guys do? and then once I got in there, I realized, oh my gosh, the obligations are way more than I ever dreamed of, you know. But again, I think I told you this before. Back then, production workers, or let's say hourly people that work production lines and stuff, there was 25,000 of them. So there was a lot of machinery, a lot of buildings to maintain. You know, there was we had 2 powerhouses where we generated and distributed our own electricity. We didn't buy anything from Ohio Edison. We made it all ourselves. So there was a lot. There was a lot to do. There really was. There was lots of work.
So as you progressed through Goodyear, so you started with were you just working on machines, or were you just kind of all around general?
Every 3 months they operated on a quarter system, mm-hmm. and every 3 months they would put you in different areas. Okay. So my first quarter there, I worked in Plant 1 corporate headquarters, and it was all building maintenance type stuff. And then the second quarter I was there, they put me out at that time, Goodyear owned a plant that manufactured steel wheels for trucks and military jeeps and stuff. They put me out there for 3 months, so totally different area. And then the following quarter I went into a department that serviced tire makers, the tire machines and the presses and that type of thing, a production department. And there was, it goes on and on. They made, one quarter I spent working out where they made plyo-film food wrap.
Okay.
Forgot about that one. And there was, then of course, each plant 1 had a building maintenance department, plant 2 had a building maintenance department, plant 3, there was plant 1, plant 2, plant 3, plant 5, plant C, and the chemical plant, which, massive, unbelievable. Never dreamed that there was that many buildings and places to get lost in there, but it was, huge.
Yeah. When you started, what do you remember about just kind of the relationship among workers? Yeah, what was the atmosphere like when when you started there? Pretty good vibes with people.
Oh yeah, now you have to understand. I'm sure production workers might tell you a different story, but in our group, they were really tightly knit. People who had were electricians and pipe fitters and the maintenance type people who had gone through the Goodyear, spent 4 years in the Goodyear apprenticeship program. It was a really tight knit group of people. They really were. And when you got involved with them, they took you in, and unless you did something that they kicked you out. But yeah, it was like family. It was like I had 10 new dads and 20 new uncles, and and that's how they treated me. They treated me like a kid. They patted me on the back sometimes. They kicked me in the hind end other times. When I did or said something that was wrong, they would let me know about it without a blink, in the blink of an eye. No remorse. It was so it felt like family because it was big and scary. Having those people that treated me like a son made it real comfortable. It really did. Really quite close-knit group of people. They really were. They all did the same thing. They looked out after each other. If someone was off sick, they took up monetary collections for them to help feed their family, pay their bills or whatever. Very close, very close.
How do you think that the notion of family came about? How do you think that?
I think the common bond of going through that apprenticeship program had a lot to do with it. But I think I mentioned this before. The day I went to my orientation, the first thing they said was, "Welcome to the Goodyear family." Family, and that's how they looked at their new employees. When you hired into Goodyear, you were now a part of the Goodyear family. Do you want me to go put her away?
That's fine.
She's going to be